Good evening. I am Neeraj Matiyani, a business leader at AWS, and it's truly a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm incredibly excited to commence this inspiring session that we have in store. But before that, allow me to begin by delving into the fintech revolution that is sweeping across our country. Fintech is not merely redefining transactions, it's shaping the very essence of financial services. This transformation is fueled by the synergy of cutting-edge technologies and innovative business models. India is proudly leading the world in real-time payments. In July this year, UPI processed approximately 10 billion transactions of rupees 153 lakh crores. That's a big value. PwC reports forecast that this number will escalate in 3 years to a staggering 1 billion transactions per day. Projections from a recent EY study anticipate a flourishing fintech market in India by 2030, projecting a revenue of $200 billion and assets under management, that is AUM, reaching $1 trillion. The significance of India's fintech ecosystem is not solely in its numbers. It lies in its capacity to drive transformation. As the world's third largest fintech hub, India is propelling not just itself, but the entire world to a future of inclusive, tech-driven finance. The expansion of the UPI payment network into more than 20 countries stands as a testament to India's leadership in the fintech realm. This revolution extends far beyond ease of payments. It has made credit access for both businesses and individuals simpler by enhancing efficiency through streamlining of a complex process. Wider adoption has created new investment opportunities, job avenues, and elevated financial literacy. But most importantly, and my favorite, is that fintech has empowered financial inclusion by harnessing alternate data sources. Fintech has emerged as a formidable tool for bridging the credit gap. Through tech innovation, it overcomes challenges such as the absence of credit scores, integrate documentation procedures, and manual processes. But at the core of this transformation lies the convergence of vast computational power, groundbreaking technologies such as AI/ML, and strategic deployment of APIs to leverage the vast potential of analytics. This convergence has given rise to a wave of new players and innovative business models, fostering unparalleled innovation and ushering in a new era of competition. The infusion of technology isn't just dismantling entry barriers, it is empowering fintech entities to deliver financial solutions at an unprecedented scale. This shift is particularly evident in the payments sector, a testament to India's prowess in pioneering tech advancements. AWS Cloud plays a pivotal role in facilitating the tech infrastructure for fintech companies of all sizes. AWS not only drives cost savings, but with its analytics, AI/ML services, accelerates innovation, expedites time to market in a secure and compliant manner. Our investments in India have been substantial. With $3.7 billion already invested till 2022 to build cloud infrastructure, we are further investing $12.7 billion until 2030 that are aimed at meeting the escalated demand for cloud services in India. By 2030, this investment is projected to contribute an impressive $23.3 billion to India's total GDP. The two AWS regions in Mumbai and Hyderabad are strategically designed to offer Indian customers multiple options to run workloads with enhanced resilience and availability. They securely store data within India and cater to end users with minimal latency. AWS's infrastructure investment in India has a ripple effect across the economy, including digital upskilling. Since 2017, AWS has empowered more than 4 million individuals in India through cloud training programs. Now let's learn more about Torchbearers Inc. Torchbearers Inc. isn't just another talk series. It's a celebration of excellence, perseverance, and achievements, qualities that resonate especially with entrepreneurs. We draw parallels between India's Olympic champions and remarkable entrepreneurs who embody triumph. Here we discuss their journeys, perseverance, and the hustle driving them to victory. Our speakers today, Mr. Shashank Kumar, founder and managing director of Razorpay, a leading fintech unicorn, joins Padma Shri Dr. Deepa Malik, Khel awardee, Paralympic silver medalist, and the first Indian woman to win a medal at the Paralympic Games. Their journeys testify to the boundless potential of the human mind. Moderating is Shayamal Vallabhjee, a sports scientist and high-performance coach. Shayamal is the perfect guide to delve into the captivating stories of our distinguished speakers. So be prepared to be inspired. And over to you, Shayamal.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Torchbearers, brought to you by Amazon Web Services and NeoNiche. Who is a torchbearer? A torchbearer is someone who inspires others by leading them towards a valued goal. As a part of the Torchbearers series, Amazon Web Services brings together India's elite unicorn founders together with the athletes and para-athletes who've made India proud on an Olympic stage. This series hopes to weave the needle between the hustle that's required to succeed in both sport and in business. My name is Vallabhjee. I'm a sports scientist and a clinical psychologist, and I'm absolutely delighted to be your host for this series. Remember, if you have any questions as you listen to this mind-blowing conversation, drop in the comment section wherever you are listening to this live stream. Peak performance is more of a mindset than a skill. As a sports scientist and a psychologist, I've been at the cutting edge of performance, coaching both athletes and executives for many decades. Winning an Olympic gold and building a bold entrepreneurial vision both require a strong mindset. Today, I'm hoping to use my experience and knowledge to craft a discussion that unravels the mindset behind the hustle. The topic for today is Olympic Paralympic Gold, Entrepreneurial Bold. During this engaging session, we will uncover the secrets behind the unwavering motivation, resilience, and determination that sets our exceptional guests apart. From Shashank's entrepreneurial journey, where he transformed what was just an idea into a groundbreaking fintech company, to Deepa's awe-inspiring tale of becoming the first Indian Paralympic medalist. I promise you that this conversation will be inspiring and enlightening. Now, Neeraj has given you a brief introduction about our guests, but let me give you a few points. Trust me, my introduction is just the tip of the iceberg of the magnanimous achievements that these two wonderful people have achieved. Dr. Deepa Malik is an award-winning Padma, Shri, Khel, Ratna, and Arjun awardee. She was the first woman to win a Paralympic medal for India. She's currently the president of the Paralympic Committee and runs the Disability Affairs Committee for the government of Uttar Pradesh. She has won 5 awards from the President of India, holds 4 Limca records, 3 international awards, and 68 national and state medals to go along with her 23 international medals. Deepa is currently the president of the Paralympic Committee. I'd like to welcome Deepa Malik to Torchbearers. Our second guest is the founder and managing director of Razorpay, Shashank Kumar. And if you're an entrepreneur, his name is probably household to you. What he has done in the fintech world is nothing short of inspiring and groundbreaking. Shashank Kumar was an IIT graduate and was an entrepreneur working in Microsoft in the United States. He was someone who left a well-paying job, a very, very successful career, to come back to India to start something which was just an idea. Shashank, through the founding of Razorpay, has gone on to become the EY Entrepreneur of the Year. He's been recognized in the Forbes 30 Under 30, the Fortune 40 Under 40, and has won numerous awards, including LinkedIn's Power Profiles for 2017 and 18. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show, Shashank Kumar.
Thanks, Sham. Really excited to be sharing the stage with both of you. And yeah, looking forward to the event.
Thank you. As we get ready to deep dive into Olympic, Paralympic Gold, Entrepreneurial Boldness, I can promise you that we're going to weave this needle through one of the most exhilarating conversations that you have ever heard. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors, AWS, for bringing us all together. I'm going to kickstart this conversation with Deepa. Deepa, what was really fascinating about your journey is that you had a first setback at 5 years old, which you overcame. Then you had a relapse, which left you paralyzed at the age of 29 after having 3 surgeries for your spinal tumor. You picked up sport at the age of 36. 36 years old, most people think they need to have every single thing in life figured out, and they need to be clearly on the path to success. You started from scratch at the age of 36. Can you please give us an idea as to what inspired you to walk down that journey, to really walk down a path where it hadn't even been trodden on before, and leave a very clearly defined road for everyone who wants to follow in your footsteps?
I think they say necessity is the mother of invention. And it was absolutely necessary for me to get onto some journey where I could defy all stereotypes and talk about my abilities, because all I saw and understood and experienced that everybody was focusing on my disability. And they were imposing an impression on my mind, on my psychology, as if my life had ended. So, fortunately, I'm born to a father who has always taught me the solution finding way ahead. And when I say that solution finding should be the order of the day, it automatically takes your attention towards the fact that you can only find a solution if you're willing to learn about the situation. And before you learn about the situation, the zeal to learn and upskill yourself will only come when you have voluntarily adapted to the change that suddenly happened in your life. For me, from being paralyzed as a child for 4 to 5 years, undergoing several treatments because the medical technology was not enough to pinpoint the problem, to finally getting operated on my spinal column, getting the tumor removed, getting into rehabilitation of 2 years, looking like a person from outer space, going to school wearing all the gadgets, calipers, chest braces, neck braces, being bullied as a child, to looking different, then learning to walk, and somewhere developing a rebel. But I am so fortunate that my rebel was directed in the right positive mindset and direction by parents. There, I was fortunate to have good team leaders, if I may call it in the corporate language. And I started using my actions to defy any words of negativity in the right direction. My father taught me that your goals should always be value addition goals. So even if you are trying to prove a point, it should be done in a way that it adds value to people around you, or in your society, or in your own persona development. And from there, of course, I got married. Like I said, I was a rebel, so I got into a lot of sports, a lot of biking, car racing as a young girl, which was not heard of in the 80s. Girls never really took to these sports. But and through the like-minded hobbies, found a life partner, had a daughter. The daughter suffered a road accident at a very young age, had head injury, ended up with paralysis on the left of her body. And the same thing repeated after 2 decades. What I had suffered as a child, especially being a girl child, the same stereotypical thoughts were spoken about my daughter, and how am I going to now bring up a daughter who's disabled. It shocked me that the mindsets had not changed. 2 decades had gone by. We were almost talking computers, and we were talking space, but we were still not talking diversity, equality, and equity. But anyway, I struggled because I had experienced all this. I could easily relate to the psychology and how to bring up a child in the right way, only to get my tumors back after my second delivery. And this time the tumors left me chest below paralyzed. And when I say chest below paralyzed, it kind of affected my lungs, only half inflate. I have had to undergo repetitive surgeries for tumors, chemos, and that left laminectomy on my spine, 200 stitches, kyphotic deformities. I don't have sensation below the chest. I don't have muscle power. I don't even have torso balance. I have spastic paraplegia. I don't have a bladder and a bowel control. So it's a difficult body to live in. And with this body, which was totally dependent, only the 1/3 of your body are moving, and you have weak shoulder blades because of the kyphotic deformity. Everybody thought that this is a woman who's going to die in a room in her own urine and feces. Someone who's going to be a source of depression, sadness, liability, going to limit the movement of the family, not going to be able to bring up her daughters. So all this kind of fueled the rebel in me all over again. And I felt, even after 3 decades, where I have time and again seen disability up close, nothing has changed when it comes to society looking at it in a different way. And that's what triggered it. And I said, okay, everybody's talking about my body. So let me start doing something from my body, which is going to break the stereotype. It was a lot of learning. It had, one had to really learn how to, manage strength in your shoulders. You had to learn the new skill, how to manage the new body, your bladder, what to eat, what not to eat, how to dress, how to manage your travel. I mean, being the first is easy, but it comes with a big bag of challenges, because you have no legs to walk and you have no footsteps to follow. But yes, that's what triggered, and that's why I began a little late in life. I really want to share a video that how innovating these ideas of doing what I went on to do helped me advertise my product called Ability Beyond Disability. Can I have a 3-record video, please?
Now on to the story of a champion who overcame all odds to become a sports star in her own right. Vishal Baristo meets the woman.
Malik has won mentions in the Limca Book of Records in 2 different categories. In January this year, she set a new record for riding a special bike for 55 kilometers at a stretch. She backstroked against the Yamuna currents for a kilometer.
I trained for 3 months at Lakshmibai National Institute of Physical Education at Gwalior, and it was hard work because my coach told me we don't get permissions in my disability category. They don't allow people in my disability category to take that open river water swimming. It has never been done in India before, and I had to really take a special permission and convince them that I want to do this.
यमुना किनारे दीपा को लेकर लोग नदी की तरफ बढ़े तो सब देखने को बेचैन थे कि दीपा तैरेगी कैसे। जिसका आधा जिस्म बेजान हो, लकवे से जिसके पैर ना हिलते हों, वो तैरेगी कैसे। पर दीपा ने तैरना शुरू कर दिया।
Very proud that I'm back from a Leh Ladakh exhibition drive, which I did in my vehicle, driving as one of the drivers. Did 3,000 kilometers in 10 days, covering 9 high altitude passes on the highest motorable roads, doing an average of 300 kilometers per day at an average high altitude of 15,000 feet above sea level.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Deepa. That was really, really inspiring to watch all of those achievements. I mean, that's the mindset that we really here to unravel. Shashank, I want to come to you, and the topic for today is entrepreneurial boldness. And, I think everyone has seen what you've achieved. Everyone sees it as a unicorn. They see the valuations, everything. I want you to break down for us what boldness actually is required, because many people don't actually understand the factors that go into making these bold decisions. So what does boldness feel like? Maybe there's that fear. What inspires you? What's that network like when you take a decision and venture into the unknown?
Thanks, Shyam. And before I begin, I have to say, Deepa, the video was really inspiring, and it is fantastic to watch, and just see that, experience that. Coming to the question, I think entrepreneurship at the end of the day is still a very, very uncommon thing, right? It's still something going against the grain, taking on a bet, taking on an idea, and sort of going through with it, right? And today, if I talk about my personal background, I come from a typical middle class family in India. Right? My family, my parents, have always worked in in government jobs or in bank jobs, which are typically considered very safe. And if I look at my previous 3 generations in the family, right, they've always been with the mindset that we should pursue choices which are safe. We should do jobs which are safe, right? We should generally do things which don't carry significant risk, right? And that's the mindset that honestly I also grew up with, right? That's the mindset that was imparted from the childhood, that we should be a good citizen, we should be a model citizen, we should do we should obviously be outstanding in society, but at the end of the day, we should make safe choices, right? We should do things which helps us earn a good salary and do our job and then sleep peacefully at night, right? So this whole concept of taking risk or taking a bold action is not part of our upbringing, right? It's not part of our education. It's not part of our society, right? And I graduated from college, from IIT, and then I went for a job in Microsoft in US. And for my family or for my society, immediate neighborhood in Patna, I grew up in Patna. So for most of those folks, for most of the people behind me and my peers, going to US, going to a job, and becoming an NRI is like a dream come true. It's like a significant thing in itself, right? And for most of our friends also, we started working in Microsoft. But here is the thing. Today, in India, right, today, with all the good education that we receive and everything, there's so many opportunities that are out there, right? There's so many things that you can do. And, we just saw Deepa's story in itself saying okay, how do you put yourself out there and do something? But the fundamental thing is, which is the basic problem, is that there's nowhere in our whole upbringing, in our whole education, in our whole society, anything that encourages us to take risk or to take a bold action, right? So when you go out and you say, you know what, I don't want to do a regular job, or I don't want to do a job which I'm not enjoying, even if it is the best job in the world, right? It takes a very different attitude, or it takes a very different mindset to be able to say that and then act upon it, and that's so back in 2014, when I told my family that I want to come back to India and do something of my own, I think the first question that they asked, right, which is just tells you a little bit, is okay, how much will you be earning, right? And I said I won't be earning anything probably 1-2 years. And that just rang a lot of alarm bells. What is this guy? What is this stupid thing this guy is doing? He has his career set. He can make good money in US. He can continue in Microsoft, Google, whatever, and just live you get a good marriage proposal, and then you sort of live it out, right? I mean, that's the whole thing in our society, right? And when you say no to that life, right? When you say that I don't want to do that, right? I want to see if I can try something of my own and create something new. I think the whole system sort of doesn't allow for that, right? And you
Yeah.
really have to just say that, just believe in yourself to the extent that, come what may, right? This is what I want to do, and I want to go ahead, right? And, everyone around me, everyone who loves me, truly loves me, will believe in me, right? Will believe in me and will come around to this idea, will come and support me. And that's that, right? That's where it is at. And it's okay if I don't succeed. It's okay if I absolutely fail, but I know that I'm doing what I love. I know I'm doing what is close to my heart and something that can create tremendous impact. And it's not simply a 9 to 5 thing. It's not the easiest thing for me to do at this point of time, but this is what, I want to sign up for. So
Yeah.
that mentality is something that, as a person, you have to nurture. As a person, you have to say that, this is very uncomfortable. This is extremely ambiguous. I don't know where this will go to, but this is what I'll enjoy, right? This is what, I'm prepared for, and this is what I'll go ahead and do it. So this sequence of these things happens over months, even years. It's not like it's not an overnight thing, right? It's not like you wake up suddenly and say, hey, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to pursue this idea. That's usually like, probably just looks good in books or in movies, right? But there's a lot of struggle, at least for me. While I always thought like I want to do something, there was a lot of struggle to, leave behind a life which, for me was sort of luxurious in a lot of ways, and come back to India, come back to Jaipur. So I literally moved from Seattle to Jaipur from like minus 10 degrees to 40 degrees. And it's okay. Like what my life today is not what it's going to be in future. It's going to be very different. It's going to be something that I enjoy, that I love. And it has a lot of element of risk taking, but that's fine. Like, I'll go ahead and do it because I'm extremely passionate about my idea. I'm extremely passionate about the work that I think I can do to create a change in society, to create a change in the ecosystem, and a higher purpose that I want to sign up for, right? So that whole conversation with yourself is something that you need to have again and again to believe in it, right? Because you need to make yourself believe before you can make others believe, right? And if you are able to make yourself believe, then only you can take the next steps and start on that journey. Then you give yourself the permission to, go ahead and say, it's okay if I'll fail. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. But I'll take that risk, even if it's a very different path. It's very different from peers, from my friends, from my family expect. But it's something that is important for me to do. And, I want to sort of go on with it. And I want to believe in myself to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Shashank, you've given us so many crisp points there. And I want to draw the parallel between Deepa's life as well in what she says. The first thing that's common with both of you all that people often miss in high achievers is passion. You are incredibly passionate about what you're doing, as you just said that. The one thing, though, I want to ask, because it's very evident in the world of sport, Deepa said, I practiced for a very, very long time before I jumped in the Yamuna. I practiced for a very long time before I got to the Olympics. But in the entrepreneurial world, the version of practice is not very, very clearly defined or doesn't exist. So can you explain what is the finely woven net that brings research and risk together? Because what you're saying as or labeling as risk, I'm pretty sure was backed with some amount of research that mitigated risk. So when you're looking at entrepreneurial boldness, right, is there a ratio we should look at? And for those ones, because there are lots of entrepreneurs or willing entrepreneurs listening to this conversation, but there has to be that balance between how you test something that's going to work. Is it just go in and test it? Or what's that element between risk and research?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And my answer and, my thoughts over that have evolved, right? But I think, I have two very opposite viewpoints on it that I hold in my own head. Okay. There's an aspect of research that you look at, what is there in the world, what is there in the country, right? What are people doing in their day-to-day lives? How is the whole thing put together, right? And if I give example of payments, which is my field, so the way I started, like we were doing a side project for which we wanted to accept payments. And when we went to the existing incumbents or institutions in the country to get a payment gateway, right? I think the whole thing around it was like felt very archaic, right? So the things like, there would be banks that would ask questions like, are you profitable? Do you have like a physical office setup? Have you been operating for like 4 or 5 years? These kind of things, which just felt very off, right? Which was like, hey, if I'm a startup or if I'm just starting a new company, I'm not going to have all these things. So while, what the questions that you're asking feel relevant for a large enterprise or a large company, which is how typically is the customer base for a lot of banks. That those are okay, but for me these don't seem relevant, right? And now starting from this point, just looking at the world and imagining what will the future look like. So the future today is, and this is back again in 2013. The future into the present in 2013 is that mobile penetration is increasing, internet penetration is increasing, but the payment systems are extremely archaic, right? So from 10 years from now, what does that future look like? And the answer to that, at least, you can do the research and obviously you form a point of view, but the answer to that is very simple. Payments in 10 years from now should be extremely simple. Anyone should be able to accept payments within seconds without any friction, right? So all of the experience that I have today sort of goes away, and that imagine that future in your mind is very, very important. Now, the third part that comes to it is, which again follows from research, which is important to do that research, say, do I have the capability or do I know how to bring that vision into reality, that future into reality, right? And as an entrepreneur, you play both the roles. You play the role of bringing that future into reality, but also you accelerate that journey, because sometimes that future will anyways happen, but whether it will happen in 10, 20 years, 50 years, nobody knows. And you play a very important role in bringing that thing to a reality, right? And all of these things are backed by research. But here is the second very opposite viewpoint, which is also very, very important, is that, entrepreneurship is often built on a very naive optimism, which is very unique to passionate people or people who sort of put themselves out there, right? Because there's an element involved of taking that leap of faith. And when I took that leap of faith, I thought I knew everything, which was very stupid of me. Like, I almost knew nothing, right? I probably knew 10% of the things. I didn't know 90%, but I thought I knew enough to sort of go ahead and take that call, right? Now, looking back, if I look at my journey of like last 10 years, especially in the initial 3-4 years, it was so painful, right? That if I knew that I'll be going through so much pain, I probably wouldn't have taken that leap of faith. That, I am just not ready for it. Let me just prepare more, let me just do more, and then I'll take that leap of faith, right? But that naive optimism and that attitude that, we'll figure it out, we'll get things through. And, I don't know, I may not know everything, but there'll be a path for me and I'll figure out the path ahead of that, right? That naive optimism is extremely, extremely important as an entrepreneur to have, right? And that's something that helps you come over a bunch of obstacles that come in your way day to day, week on week, and everything, right? And that's what helps you surpass those obstacles. So I think that balance that you talk about, there is the balance of doing that research and believing and framing a worldview, right, of what the future looks like, and believing in that future, right, and living and breathing in that future. But at the same time, there is a significant amount of optimism and combined with naivety, right? That is very important. That naivety is a superpower. It's not an ignorant thing, right? That naivety is what gives me the confidence to go up to a person who might be like 10 or 20 years in the industry, but say, what, this is how things have happened, but it's not necessary. This is how things will happen in the future, right? Even though I don't know everything about it, right? The combination of these two things is what is like really lethal or killer in that sense, and gives the ability for an entrepreneur to overcome many, many things in the future.
Yeah, Shashank, I love that. I love naive optimism, because the naive optimism, or the bias around naive optimism, is very cognitive. So an entrepreneur will think, I can do this. That naive optimism doesn't exist in Deepa's world, where it's physical, because you are fully aware of your physical limitations. If I said, hey, I'm going to give you a couple 100,000, start a business, everyone will say yes. It says, hey, I'll give you a couple 100,000, jump in the Yamuna. They're very, very aware of their abilities and their restrictions, which is why we're having the two of you all on the same platform.
Thank you so much. Deepa, I'd like to come back to you once again. You know, when I was studying sport, and I've spent almost 2 decades working in sport, I was completely unaware of the degrees of classification for para-athletes. In the Olympic Games, you literally make it or you don't make it, and everyone's in an open category. But in the Paralympics and Special Olympics, they vary in degrees of it. So tell me, can you guide us with how one should define success for themselves? And how does one become aware of their limitations and rise above their limitations? We live in a world where most people see their limitations as this big brick wall that they cannot get over. But for para-athletes, where your limitations are so physical and so real, and are reminding you every single day of what you can and cannot achieve, how do you go about setting small goals that help you to slowly and surely overcome this massive hurdle that you may see and the world sees as a limitation? So Deepa, help us understand, how should we all go about in defining success?
Okay, that's a beautiful question, and I like the way you asked it in the perspective that you want me to answer. But taking away the part that Shashank said, that nobody encourages you to take a risk, and there is always doubts around that. For example, when I took the risk of closing down my 7-year-old restaurant business that I started from the wheelchair, which I had to give up because whatever I did, however many hours I gave to that business, people would end up saying that she's just the face and her husband and father-in-law are running it. So I had to run away from the father-in-law and the husband and then do something on my own and prove something that, yes, I still exist. I am there. And I took the risk of closing down my business overnight and moving to Delhi and come and play the Commonwealth Games in 2010. I was 40 years old, and this whole shift, but nobody understood the passion behind it, the reason behind it, because nobody has an appetite to take that risk. People usually don't encourage, follow risk. And this whole transition from leaving home in just a small little car, one suitcase, one wheelchair, and a bag, and this whole zeal to go and participate at these levels, and then look for coaches, look for policies, find my own way. And when I came here, this risk was not appreciated as something of a dare act or an act of passion, or someone who's trying to find herself, having lost the body in the same year in which I won a beauty contest. So in the same year, you're getting crowned for being a beautiful woman. And in the same year, you get chest below paralysis and you're being looked down upon or degraded for living in a body which is chest below paralyzed. And you have to continuously live in diapers or urine bags. And when I came here, my risk was defined as she's been thrown out of the house. There has been marital discord. Her in-laws don't want to keep her anymore. My God, she's living out of one room rented out in Shahpur Jatki Gully. Nobody understood that was the closest to Shri Sports Complex and the Jawaharlal Nehru Complex. And I was getting a ground floor with a parking. However, the room was a very small one. But to save time and, accessibility was the way. Nobody was talking about all that. They were just talking about all these negative aspects, because nobody thinks that a woman can take a risk, or anybody for that matter. So now you're saying how I define the success. I define the success when I look back from where I began to today. You yourself are saying, who has served the sports for so many years, over 2 decades, and you said that my medal brought awareness. I call myself a sports activist and not a sports person at all, because the whole journey was about awareness, for creating inclusive mindset, for talking about equal opportunities for persons with disabilities in the sports field, for getting our para sports recognized in the policies and in the media and in the mindsets of our Indian citizens, that universally they are equal, they are parallel to Olympic sport, and they are definitely competitive sports. They are not recreational sports. They are not a charity sport. We work very hard. We have very tough competitions. And with lack of infrastructure, yes, it was difficult. So if you want me to mark my success, I would say that when I went to Rio, I had won only one medal. And that was probably the first medal for a woman in India. But when, as a team leader, I took the team in Tokyo, we had 19 medals. I mean, I can say that they were 19 medals. That's the degree of success. When a woman
Amazing.
won a medal in Rio, it was one medal. But there were 3 female athletes who became first in their own right in 3 different sports who won medal in Tokyo Paralympics. So we could grow the participation of women by 350%. With only 2 women had gone on selection and 1 on bipartite invitation. There are 14 women went in Tokyo in just 4 years. So yes, when our team went for shooting, we had only 1 shooter in 5 Paralympics. But as a team leader and giving my contribution to the growth of para sports, today we have 600 shooters registered. To see the magnanimity of the growth, when you can become an instrument of change, when you can bring about growth, when you can make people believe that yes, they too can do it. And when you are able to influence a positive mindset and change it towards positivity, and also become a part of nation building, contributing to the nation growth as a citizen of a country, I think that is called success. And it never comes to a person alone. Success is something which cannot be achieved alone. It is a pure result of a teamwork. I may be able to drive, but someone has to customize my my vehicle. Someone has to design it in a way that I'm able to drive it with just my hands. Someone has to assist me in transferring from my wheelchair and get into the driving seat. Someone has to put my wheelchair in the boot. And same happens for the training. I mean, I need a psychologist, a gym trainer, a health conditioner, a physiotherapist, a doctor continuously monitoring that there is no internal injuries or spasticity is not increasing. I have to have funding. So I have to have funding sources. I have to have a skilled coach. I have to have a government which is supporting. So, and a family or your immediate inner circle standing by you to keep you in good mental well-being. So there's so much that comes together to define success. We can never achieve it alone.
Yeah, Deepa, what you're saying is beautifully articulated. I remember reading this quote that says, excellence is not one person moving 1,000 steps forward. It's 1,000 people moving 1 step forward, you know, and that's so beautifully articulated in the way you transitioned your journey from 1 medal in 2016 to 19 medals. It's, you know, an entire nation taking that 1 step is success, is excellence in some shape and form. Shashank, coming back to you, Deepa is speaking so much about that teamwork. And when I look at the list of companies you guys power, the Facebooks, the Cred, the Swiggy, Zomato, everyone, nobody sees you guys on their websites. You are servicing them at the back end, being the power behind them in some shape and form. I know you have a relationship with AWS, and they are your secret powerhouse behind that. Do you want to share a little bit on, how AWS as a company integrates deeply to make this journey for you possible? And what are the importance of having these invisible partners, and how do you trust someone that's not sitting in your office to deliver a key part of your business strategy?
I think that's a very important part of the tech ecosystem, that we are able to rely on each other to build something which is greater than what any of us individually can provide, right? And I think that's this is more and more present in the technical world, tech world, startup world, than I would say in most other probably industries, right? And this handshake, this partnership, if I can take AWS as an example, right, is that before companies like AWS were present in the scene, there was so much grunt work, so much time that every startup or every tech company would need to spend to manage their technical infrastructure, right? So it's like building that support system in-house and investing millions of dollars to have that support system working for you and spending a lot of time there, instead of spending time on the problem statement that you are passionate about, really, and solving problem statements for the customer, right? And that's where I think, at least from in an engineering, in a tech world, in a startup world, AWS plays a key role in enabling that infrastructure, so that startup companies like ours can run fast, can launch products faster in the ecosystem, and can serve the customers much, much better than what it would have been without that system in place, right? So it's like having that support system which always works, which is like a workhorse, and you don't need to worry about it, right? You can focus on what you can do best, and you can focus on serving the customers and creating that change in the ecosystem, right? So the fact that we were able to build our product and launch it and test it and scale it within a matter of 1 year is essentially possible because of a lot of partners and a lot of people in the ecosystem. And that's what we are truly grateful for, because we don't stand on its success alone. It's built on the shoulders of so many partners, right? And that teamwork is not just important within the company, but within the ecosystem of payments and fintech that has enabled the fintech revolution in India, right? It's not the responsibility of a one person or one team, but it's the result of so many minds coming together to enable this digital change in the country, that it has reached the remotest corners of the country, right? And anyone, whether in a 5-star hotel or at the street, is using that's the beauty of the democratization of the technical infrastructure, right? They are using the same system that we have been able to make available to everyone across the country, right? And and I think that's what I think we are proud that as Razorpay we have been able to play a meaningful role in that, and we are thankful that we have partners like AWS who have enabled us to play that role in the ecosystem.
Yeah. Shashank, I want to just stay with you and ask one question. This is coming more from the lens of coaching and coaching. I've worked with, and I currently coach more than 20 unicorn founders. And one thing that I find extremely difficult in the entrepreneurial world, which is not there in the sports world. In the sports world, there's a tight coaching ecosystem of people that are giving feedback to the athlete to improve. But I noticed that in the entrepreneurial world, as you become a unicorn and as you grow and grow and grow, the ecosystem around you becomes a sounding board of yes people that are just saying yes to every single thing you say. So how are you becoming aware of that ecosystem and growing, knowing that, how do you get sound advice as you scale up and it becomes a really lonely place to know whether something's really good or people are just giving you what they think you need to hear?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very real problem, right? And if you don't focus on it, you can, as you said, like very quickly get surrounded by people, who know what to say, when to say, but like really are not, saying true things, right? Fundamentals from working from first principles and questioning and supporting you, rather was just saying what you want to hear, right? Honestly, I think it's a bit of a maturity of the ecosystem as well. That in India, there are fewer entrepreneurs or unicorns, and a lot of unicorns have been created like in the last 2-3 years. So the ecosystem around that is actually very, very thin, and also it's uh there is this whole thing that I can talk about, like in the broader ecosystem and the media, that pushes you to always present a very positive picture or a very positive face, and not talk about your problems honestly, right? So I think the only solution that I have found is that you have to consciously focus on creating a very good set of people around you that you really cultivate, right? Rather than that happen with the flow, because then it can very easily become very different from what you would like. So for me, that means that I meet a lot of new people on a regular basis. Like every weekend, I would go meet one or two people who are really interesting, who I really admire, or whose work I like, right? And some of those people I'm able to very deeply connect with and take those relationships forward, whether as mentors, advisors, board members, or just as new hires for the company, right? And that's the way for me to really keep looking out, keep coming out of my bubble and look, because while we might be doing great work at Razorpay, and I'm really proud of that. And also, what is also true is that there are so many people in the country who are doing amazing work, and I want to listen to that. I want to be inspired by that, right? And I want to feel it, and see how what we can learn from that, right? And to talk to them on a regular basis is what helps keep me grounded, keep me, aware of the greatness around me, and also that there's so much more that we can do versus just what we have done.
Amazing. I'm getting some questions coming in from the public. Deepa, there's many people want to know how you balance the different roles of being sitting in government, being an Olympian, being a mom, an entrepreneur, and they recognize the challenges that women face in India, and they are in absolute awe of the multiple hats that you wear. So maybe can you shed some light on how you handle these various roles, and bearing in mind you have the same 24 hours in the day that all of us do?
I think women are born with the skills of multitasking. I think that's something very organic and genetic, and that is something we women are very proud of. But definitely, the key to be able to multitask and do different duties is prioritize. You have to choose your battles, which one to fight today, which one to deliver today, which way to go today. So it has to be a very a strong, disciplined way of following a routine, because you set a calendar and then you have to have a lot of self-discipline and the continuous motivation to follow it to the T. People often call me a wall clock or a clock or an alarm clock, because I am very punctual, and that I think I can attribute to my army background, my army upbringing, the discipline part, the punctuality part. These are not dictionary words. These are, I think, things to be followed, values to be imbibed, because that only will enable you to deliver what you have taken on hand. So, second thing is, please erase guilt, because when you are out there to become a part of a very responsible duty, and not one but many, then you are bound to sacrifice one thing or the other. And if you carry the guilt and the burden of that, then you will neither enjoy what you are doing, nor will you be able to be focused, because you'll be so distracted by the guilt. And sometimes that is external. People put it on you. They judge you all the time. And so if there is a birthday happening, but I happen to be in a meeting, or for example, if it was somewhere where my children are participating, but it is always good to have great communication within people who matter, because those who matter will understand. Those who don't will never understand. So I always say that don't carry the guilt. And I think, again, what I feel is,
That's amazing. Yeah.
yes, what I feel is the motivation is something that is like food. How you eat meals thrice a day, you have to continuously feed yourself with motivation. And motivation will only come when you keep setting new goals for yourself. So each work or each duty that I do, I know these are value addition duties, because in some way, my participation or my contribution in this particular role or this particular duty is going to make things better for many, not just myself. So when you're touching lives, when you're changing lives, when you're making a positive impact in others' lives, I think that's a huge motivation. You really want to wake up again the next day and rush to that work. So that is very important. And you have to continuously inspire yourself to become a better version of yourself. Keep challenging your own limits. That also keeps you very inspired. Balance. Yes, like I said, I prioritize. I make a calendar. I follow a routine very rigorously, punctually, and I continuously challenge myself to set new benchmarks, so that when I look in the mirror the next day, I am not stagnating, but growing each day. For example, you just said that nobody can really pay you to jump into a river Yamuna with a body which only is 1/3 functional. And so you really have to practice there. Similarly, I had conquered the Himalayas, I had conquered the rivers, practically conquered the air by throwing a javelin or shot put and or a discus and winning medals for my country. And then 10 years later, after having done the Yamuna, I challenged myself to become a better version and test the waters of the sea. And this time I was 10 years older, and I just wanted to raise my own bar. I wanted to challenge myself, and that's the video I have, and that's what I do. I continuously upgrade my skill. I continuously learn, because I feel learning gives you that edge, and the new challenges and small odd things that you complete successfully makes you a person who has very strong self-belief and sense of motivation. So can I have that second video, from river waters to sea waters? it's not easy. It's never easy. You really have to push yourself. You have to work hard. If you think everything is going to be easy, it's not. But then it's not impossible either.
Deepa, thanks for sharing that video. As usual, I think it's it's really good. Yeah, it's really good to see you going out there and doing these things, which I think for a lot of normal folks, I think they obviously think about these things but are not able to achieve. I think it's really good to see you doing that.
Thank you, Shashank. Thanks a lot. And I personally feel blessed, because I don't live in regrets. And I'm glad that I have this mindset, because always eager to do something new, always trying to learn something new. And yes, I think we're waiting for Shayamal to join. Here he is.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you agree with me that the conversation to date has been absolutely exhilarating. From Shashank's entrepreneurial journey, from the confidence and the conviction to try, the gems that he's given us in how you balance risk versus reward, how do you integrate research, Deepa's understanding of her own limitations and how she rose above us, and how she transitioned from just being one athlete to becoming the president that is now empowering so many others. It's been truly a mind-blowing conversation for me. Shashank, I want to come back to you. Do you have any closing thoughts, any closing advice for any entrepreneurs out there? For people who think that the journey is too hard to begin, for people who have not figured out how to balance risk and research or risk and reward, what is your last piece of advice to any entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, I think for people who are looking at entrepreneurship, I think there's a lot better enabling environment today than what was there 10 years or 20 years back, and it's a really good option, right, to participate in the growth of the country, the growth of the ecosystem, and to do something that can create long-term value for the people, right? And I think there's never a better time. So while people might have as many doubts as they might that are there, like if you truly believe in your idea, the problem, like you should take a leap of faith and go there, right? And for people who are already on that journey, as I said previously, I think being optimistic is extremely important. It's very, very real thing that you are able to make yourself resilient, and you are able to see ahead and not just see the problem that is there in front of you, but also be able to think through and say like, hey, that I'm not just limited to what is there in front of me, but I have a very large surface area, I have a very large path ahead of me, right? It's not just get stopped here, it's not just get stuck here, right? You can take a left, you can take a right, you can go one step backward, and that is also okay, right? You can change your path, and just looking at it with an open mind, right? Because unlike academics, unlike a set job, there is no set path here, right? There is no exam to pass, right? So you make your own exam, you make your own path, and the most important thing, at least I tell a lot of entrepreneurs to keep in mind, is that just focus on the customers and work backward from there. Like what would they like? What would they like to do? And what is it that you would want to create for them? And how best it can be manifested. So yeah, that's like quick 2-3 minutes of my advice for budding on.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of Torchbearers. Really and truly, I host many, many shows, and I can promise you this is one of the most exciting shows, because it's the only place where you'll find Olympic and Paralympic legends in conversation with elite unicorn founders, people who have built billion-dollar companies. All of this was made possible only because of our partners, Amazon Web Services and NeoNiche, and our media partners, Business World and Thai Mumbai. I would love to thank our guests, Deepa Malik and Shashank Kumar, for joining us and being so generous with sharing their wisdom. From me, your host, Vallabhjee, I would like to thank you so much for being a part of this. And just a reminder, when the video comes out, please share it, because this information deserves to be spread far and wide. Thank you very, very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.